Huge. Okay, guys, week 2. So we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into week 1. We're going to look at the lessons from that, and we're going to look at how we can move forward, progress, and build layers upon your learnings and your habits in 6 weeks. So week 1 review time. So I had a look at your check-ins. I looked at your sheets, and gladly, most of you, I think, and I hope, were very, very honest. There looked to be some honest answers, and no one seemed to be like glossing over and just doing tick, 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 tick. It seemed quite honest, which is the way I want you to be every week, not just for me, but for you. And there were some patterns across most of your scores. One of them was food prep, which came up a few times with a few people. So does anyone want to say what they're going to do differently this week when it comes to food prep?
I think food prep in bulk is a bit easier if you can and you don't mind eating, i.e., chicken and rice, but different variants of chicken. Stuff like that's fairly easy to prep and it doesn't take that much time, especially throwing it in air fryer and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I said before, protein yogurts and anything that has protein on from Aldi and stuff, just getting that in with your dinner as well. That stuff to bulk you up or bulk your lunch up or whatever.
Yeah. So food prep, I was just going to go through a few things, and you've hit the first one. One is batch cooking. So either slow cooker, air fryer, big tray, big casserole dish, chuck a load of chicken, chuck a load of veg, chopped tomatoes, garlic, chili, some spices. You've literally got yourself 5 lunches or 5 meals you can have whenever you want. Super simple. If you go to Aldi, you go to Lidl, I would say they're both the kings of protein at the minute. I'm not on commission, by the way. Um, Lidl especially, big shout out to Lidl, holding them up on a pedestal at the minute. Their protein meals, super choice. There's usually 8 or 10 different variety of them. They're really good, tasty, and you can also chop up extra chilies to make them spicier if you want, things like that. Like Andrew, you just said, protein pots, protein yogurts, protein bars are all, when your motivation is low and you're tired, they're all quick ways of getting healthier protein-based meals into your diet. And also when it comes to vegetables, you've got things like the Bird's Eye Steam Fresh Veg Packs, which again, if you're not a veggie person, 4 minutes in the microwave, you've got a serving of veggies on your plate with whatever you choose, some salmon, some fish, some chicken, turkey, beef. Tonight I had chicken, I had some Bird's Eye Veg Pack, and the little like rice pots, because what they are is, rather than like a full pack of rice, they're only like 100 grams of rice. So I got a load of veggies. I did some frozen peppers, frozen onion with my chicken, bit of peri peri seasoning, nice, healthy, high protein tea, and it didn't take me long at all. So there are ways of stacking the odds and the cards in your favor. And you've got to take every possible win available to you. Because remember, when you're stressed, when you're tired, if it's not there and it's not simple, you won't do it. Simple gets done. If it's not simple, you won't do it. So bear that in mind. Everything you can do to make sure you've got something that you can stick in a microwave, already cooked to reheat, is what you need most of the time. Any other people got any ideas what they're going to do this week in terms of food prep?
I guess, Miles, one thing that I'm really quite good at it now, but it's taken months and months of working it. One of the best things I got with a rice cooker, and it's
Yeah.
literally just rice is available there. Just change your protein up every now and then. It makes everything so much easier. You prep your food, you're eating better, you can train better, you can sleep better, and you just feel all around better. So it's one of the best things I've done.
Good.
Just making sure I'm prepping meals.
Good. So a few ideas there. So after tonight's call, whatever the spots are, whatever the blind spots on your food prep, and planning your meals for tomorrow. Because the key thing is you almost want to know today what you're going to eat tomorrow. Because if you leave it to chance, that's when you make bad decisions. And that's where I'll just go in the petrol station, I'll just go to Greg's, I'll just get whatever I can. So I already make sure the night before I know what I'm eating tomorrow. And that way then I know what I'm having for lunch. It's in my mind already. I know what I'm having for tea tomorrow. I'm having fajitas. I'm having a stir fry, whatever it is you're having. Just have it in your mind for tomorrow now. Okay. So what went well? So successes last week. Who's gonna shout out what their wins were?
I got some decent sleep, which has been an absolute nightmare this last month or so. That waking up at 2, 3, 4, and I'm a really light sleeper, so I've been having like a good solid 8, 9 hours. It just makes all difference.
What did you do differently?
Made sure I got all my steps in. I think there were one day when I got like 8,500, but then other days I like overcompensated for that. So to sort of even it out. So even though it wasn't on that day, over week it were more than average.
Super. Well, when it comes to sleep, physical tiredness is a really, really good thing, because if you tire yourself out physically, you tend to sleep better. So I've always been a massive, massive fan of it. If you do the work, you get your steps in, you train, you do tend to sleep better. So well done. In terms of sleep, that I'm going to give you a lot of training on sleep as we go, because when it comes to hunger, when it comes to energy for training, when it comes to thinking clearly, sleep is basically it's the base of the pyramid. If you can sleep well, everything else just gets easier. Your hunger control, your energy to train, your general vigor and desire for life is better. If you sleep poorly, everything has a knock-on effect, the negative cascade of poor sleep. And I can say this from somebody who's one of the worst sleepers there is. I've read every book going on sleep. I've listened to every podcast on sleep. I've paid coaches to have consulting on sleep. So I've tried just about every formula there is when it comes to sleeping better. And the two biggies that have worked for me after trying everything on the market, different pillows, different cooling systems in a bedroom, you name it, every supplement under the sun. The best thing I've found is always get up at the same time. Because what we don't realize is your sleep routine starts when you wake up. So waking up at the same time every day, whether that's 6, half 6, 7, 5, whatever it is for you. But the earlier you get up, it's easier to get to sleep because you're more tired. That's step one. And that's the toughest one, because no one wants to hear that truth of, oh, God, I've got to get up earlier and I've got to get up at the same time every day. No one wants to hear it, but it's true. It works. And I'd say it's the most important one. The second one is good, consistent physical activity. So if you're physically tired and you sit down on a night and your body is tired, you've got up early, at the same time, you again are more likely to go to bed and sleep well straight away. Third thing there's a number of supplements which do actually work. One is magnesium, one is theanine, and there's ashwagandha's another that's, I would say, I'm on the fence with, but magnesium and theanine definitely work. Next one, caffeine. Have a cut-off time for caffeine, usually just after lunchtime. If you're bad with your sleep, I would say cut your caffeine at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. If you're not that bad with your sleep, you might be able to have coffee at 2, 3 o'clock and you might be okay. But caffeine, again, cutting it earlier, gets your sleep on point. So there are a few biggies when it comes to sleep. I'll train you some more on it as we go through the weeks. But for now, consistent wake time, watch caffeine, physical activity, some magnesium before bed. And like I said, caffeine after lunch. What was the biggest lesson first week? What do you feel you've learned week one about yourself, about anything? What have you learned in week one?
I think for me, sorry, you can't see me, can you?
Don't worry, don't worry.
Um,
We're all friends here.
I
don't
think
we?
for me, it's been the recognition and the acknowledgement that how important the steps are. So I'm somebody who absolutely loves walking. So I might walk, I might go on a hike and walk all afternoon, but the rest of the week I'm not getting those steps in. And I often think that I can't because I have such a busy work life that I'm literally jumping from one thing to another. When we talk about 10 minutes after dinner to go out for a walk, that's me 10 minutes that I'm emptying dishwasher or hanging washing out. But I've recognized that this is really, really important. And I've actually lost sleep miles trying to work out how to get 10,000 steps in my day. I would awake half at night. I was dreaming about it. But I feel better in myself for having done it. You know, I've done it today, and what I have figured out is that 5 days out of 7, there's no reason why I can't do 10,000 steps. 2 days out of 7, not a chance. And I'm happy. I'm happy with that. And that's what I will aim for.
Yeah, as well, you know, like I said, throughout this process, you need to remove guilt as well. So if don't have sleepless nights and ruin your sleep because you're not getting your steps in. You know, we have to have targets we aim for, because if you don't have a goal, you can never hit it. So I'm saying 10,000 because I've got to give you guys a barometer and something to aim for. Now, if you hit 9,000, it's not like the magic doesn't happen, and the minute you hit 10,001, you know, the fat loss gene switches on. That's not the case. What we're aiming for is to increase our daily activity. Now, if you're somebody who does 5,000 steps normally, and let's just say you get to 8 consistently, that's a big win. If you get to 10, amazing. So I'm giving you 10 to aim for, but if you're somebody who's been doing 4 to 6 and you're getting 8 to 10, that is a massive improvement. You've got to look at that as a win. So don't beat yourself up if you don't hit it. If you're doing more steps than you were before, that is still a win.
I'm doing significantly more, and I feel better for it. And like that other lady just said, I'm feeling benefiting my sleep as well from it. So it's good. Yeah, definitely feels like it was a significant missing element in my whole process.
Yeah, and like I said last week, steps, they aid digestion. They actually do. Having a walk when you're just walking, it's quite relaxing, and it can calm your mind down. So it does help sleep. It doesn't just sort of tire you through the day. When you walk and you're just out there and you're moving, if you sat still, you can go a bit stir crazy, and then you go to bed and your mind's not empty. Whereas if you are active and you are moving, when you do go to bed on a night, I've always found people who increase the step count sleep better. And that's usually the case. You know, I've rarely met somebody who goes, "Oh, since I've started walking more, I can't sleep." You don't tend to hear that. It does help, so that's a good thing. Any other lessons? Anyone learn anything else that they want to share?
Biggest one for me, Miles, is eating the right amount of calories. So going to a smaller deficit from what I've been used to doing. I've had so much more energy. You can perform better in gym. You just feel so much better. I've been going too extreme with it. So by increasing that, I just had an all-round better week.
Good. Yeah, your calorie deficit, remember, a pound a week, you're looking at approximately 500 calorie a day deficit for a pound a week of fat loss. And that's a pound a week of fat loss. Because remember, scale weight looks at water, it looks at muscle, and it looks at everything. So you can gain weight if you've had too much salt. If it's a certain time of the month as a female, because of water retention, you can gain weight. So what we're looking at is doing the stuff that actually burns fat. So your scale weight may sometimes fluctuate, but if you consistently do the right things over time, you will lose body fat, retain or gain muscle. So that's what we're trying to ingrain, is doing the basics over time, not looking at little fluctuations. Now, 300 to 500 still loses your weight. If you don't hit 500, you will still lose weight at approximately 300 calories a day deficit. And that doesn't even feel like you're dieting. It doesn't feel like you're killing yourself. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, I'm starving. If you're eating pretty well with good foods, a 300 to 500 calorie deficit, you shouldn't feel like you're killing yourself. Because if you're getting the proteins, the fiber, the micro and the macronutrients in there, your body's getting what it needs, and it will just tap into fat stores for any energy that it needs, as long as you are lifting weights across a week. Because bear in mind, you need to give your body the stimulus of, well, actually, my body's been loaded with weight training, so I need to retain this muscle. So if there is a deficit of energy, I will pull it from fat stores, not from muscle. That's why in a calorie deficit, lifting weights is so important, because you want to preserve the muscle, burn the fat. So that's why I'm adamant that getting 3 to 4 weight sessions a week in is so important. If you're in a calorie deficit, looking to strip fat. So that's why I bang on about it, because I don't want you to lose weight but lose muscle, because I want your shape and how you look with your clothes off to be better, not just losing weight but looking more flabby and soft. That's not the goal. You know, you want to be able to take your shirt off in 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 18 weeks, 24 weeks, and go, I'm consistently looking better. And that's what I want for you. I want that as the goal, not just I've lost weight, but actually I feel worse. So drastic calorie deficits you don't need. Anything over 500 a day, you're probably going to feel shitty. It can also then affect your sleep as well. So if you go into severe calorie deficit, your body starts eating into muscle tissue, fat and everything. And you don't want that. You want to retain muscle, trim the fat off. Okay. So like you said, Billy, you don't have to go stupid with any calorie deficit. Stick to your numbers. Don't go any lower. You don't need to.
Can I just ask them about calorie deficit?
Of course you can.
Because I think I've got this right, but I just want to check. So I'm only really tiny. So my maintenance calories is only 1,372 anyway.
Yes.
So I ain't cutting no 500.
Yeah.
So I've cut mine down to 200, and I am doing a 500 deficit with the exercise. But yeah, so from a 1,372, I'm eating at 1,200. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. So what you've got is, depending on which calculator you used for this, the one I sent through, it shows you basically what your sort of basal metabolic is based on your height, your age, and everything like that. Then it's got sort of like your maintenance calories based on what you put in, whether it be sedentary, moderately, or heavily active. So that's like you might have, 1,100, 1,200, and based on your activity level, it might be 1,350, 1,400 is your sort of maintenance. Then let's just say on top of that, you add in a lot of steps a day. You then add in a 45-minute workout a day. So your maintenance calorie obviously suddenly starts going up, up, and up because of your activity. So that's how, by increasing that number, it's easier then to have a deficit without having to starve yourself. So the more active we are, it's easier to eat more food but still be in a deficit. That makes sense?
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, so this is why just trying to lose weight through diet alone is so hard. You have to increase your output through your steps, through your activity and your exercise to allow you to have the deficit without starving yourself. So, that's, I have people who come to me and say, I want to lose weight, but I don't like exercise. I'm like, well, one, it's going to take you a lot longer, and it's probably going to be a little bit harder because you're going to have to be so strict with your food and your diet. It's not going to be a pleasurable journey. You might as well just increase your activity, and you don't have to live like a monk with your food. So yeah, it sounds like you've got it and you understand it, and you're on track there. That seems fine. But like I said, every week you want to be weighing yourself every weekend and just keeping a track, because you want to, if you start losing 2, 3, 4 pounds, remember you need to go back to the calorie calculator, punch in your new weight, and it'll churn out the new calories you need.
Right.
So if you start losing 2, 3, 4 pounds, which you will do, if you lose a pound, you don't have to review your calories every week. But I would say every 2 to 3 weeks, you know, based on your weight, there might be slight fluctuations in your weight, but look at the average figure of your weight. You might need to just revisit punching your weight. And if you need to trim your calories a little bit more, because obviously as your weight goes down, your calories go down a little bit, sadly.
Mm.
But you don't want to keep them going down. I'll explain this later in the course about how to do reverse dieting and everything else, because you can't just over time consistently lower and lower and lower and lower forever. That's impossible. So there's tricks we use for that to basically stop you plateauing and keep you sort of losing fat long term, not just short term. But there's a few ways we do that, but I'm not going to bog you down with that on week 1, week 2, so don't worry. All right, moving on. So before we do some of the drills and the exercises we're going to do, setting the tone here with a few things to obviously think about, which we talked about last week, because we want to layer this in so it sinks in. Never underestimate the long-term power of the compound effect of tracking the essentials you are tracking. Think about a golf course. If you play 18 holes of golf, and you start on hole 1 and you say, let's play for 10 pence. And you say, we'll just double it. We'll double it on every hole. So if you think about it, if you start tracking calories, steps, your resistance training, your sleep, and you start getting all these things on point, not just one of them, but start getting them all better, that's the equivalent of what I'm going to show you now. So first hole, 10p to the winner. So it doubles, doesn't it? So hole number 2, you're on 20p. Hole 3, 40, 80, 160, 320, 640, 1280. By the time you're playing for hole 18, you're on thousands of pounds from a 10p starting point, and that's just across 18 holes of golf. So you making sure that all these different critical factors are on point is literally the equivalent of that. What you see is, you see a slow start, and you see within 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months, that compound effect. I explained this story to an old client of mine who, a phenomenally successful career person in her career, but never got her health in order. Put all her eggs in one basket, focused on that. Relationships and health were a distant second. Needless to say, once she got the power of the compound effects, she lost 10 stone, 2 pound. And she got married at a castle in Paris. And on her wedding day, compared to when I started working with her, you wouldn't believe it was the same person. And needless to say, she left the bum she was dating at the start and she married a different caliber of man at the end. So the compound effect, if you stick with it and get it right, is quite drastic long term. And that stands for finances, it stands for health, and it stands for relationships, it stands for everything in your life. So the compound effect is real. But you've just got to stay in the game long enough to see that the fruits of that compound effect happening, okay? Because it's not short game, it's long game, okay? Next one, like I just said, daily micro decisions affect the direction of your life and your health, both of them. So first exercise, and this is a two-way street, this, I'm going to ask your answers. So I want you to think about this now. I was at a course in London in 2012 with a mentor of mine, and the whole course was called Releasing the Handbrake. And we spent 2 days in a room in Islington going through this exercise. And we looked at the handbrakes in our life. So you could have any car you want, as powerful as it may be, but if you've got the handbrake firmly on, and you're trying to put your foot down on the accelerator, you're not going to go as fast as you could, and you're not going to get there properly because you're going to blow out your gearbox, your tires, and everything else. So what I want you to think about now is, what is the biggest handbrake at the minute stopping you when it comes to your health and fitness? So have a think, pen and paper, write down what that is now. What's the first thing that comes in your mind? It could be snacking, it could be alcohol, it could be weekends going off track, it could be getting up late so you miss your gym sessions. They're just some ideas, but you will know yourself better than anyone. And if you're honest, have a think for a minute and think about what's the biggest handbrake for you currently. And as you get it, as you think about what that is and you're dead honest with yourself, I want you to shout out your answer. Don't rush. You might know it straight away. You might have to think about it. You might have a few proverbial handbrakes. Don't worry.
Alcohol for me.
Okay.
Always has been, and that's sort of been one of the things that I'm trying to cut out as much as possible because it just has that ongoing effect on it where it knackers your energy, you're then eating, snacking, it's compounds everything.
Yeah, the takeaways later. Because nobody's ever gone, usually sober, and gone, oh, God, I want a big greasy kebab. It's normally preceding wine, beer, and other things like that. It's a knock-on effect. So when you mention it now, how far on the journey are you, Billy? Have you reduced it 50%? Whereabouts are you?
To be I hadn't had a drink now for 5 weeks, and I used to be quite an. I had a bad period when my dad had terminal cancer, and I was pretty much drinking every day.
Yeah.
And probably a decent amount as well. And then sort of 12, 18 months ago, I sort of started cutting that down. It's got to a point where in summer I'd have a couple of drinks on a Friday night and that were it really. But now I'm just trying to have a bit of a prolonged period without it.
Yeah, yeah. Alcohol's a strange one because everybody is different. If you're somebody with not an addictive personality, if you're somebody who has a good handle on it, and they're drinking, I would say, for reasons that they're aware of, and it's not a crutch, they're not drinking to avoid things. If you are having a drink to be social with some friends on a Saturday night, that might be okay for you. But people who are doing it because of the job, because of the relationship, because of stress, because things like that, the problem is it becomes a spiral where you need more of it all the time because you build up a tolerance, and I've worked with people and I know people firsthand who've had big battles with it, and if you've made some great strides, mate, that's great work. It's great work.
Thank you.
Good man. All right, anyone else? What's your major handbrake? Be honest.
Mine's
I use
timing.
my kids. Oh, sorry, Andrew.
Go on, you go first.
Kids, family life. Sometimes stuff get in the way, and then other times I think, oh well, I won't do that. I put everybody else before me, and I think as a mum, I think that's just what you do. Sometimes you think I'll do that later, and then you don't always, and then before I know, I've missed a couple of weeks at gym.
Would you put them on eBay?
I wish. I've been up with one since 1:30 this morning because he's run into a bench and broke his leg. So I've not been able to go to the gym, but I've still got my steps in today because I've had him in a wheelchair whizzing him around Whipsy Village.
Well, obviously, life gets in the way. Kids, family, things like that. There's sometimes things you can't prepare for. Like you said, you're taking kids to hospital. You're doing all. There's things you can prepare for and things you can't. What you have to do when it comes to kids, family, work, everything else, is just plan as well as you can. Because a lot of people I work with, what I've come to the realization is over the years is once your day gets started and your kids are almost out of bed, your life can run away with you. So I'm always a fan now for most people who have got career, business, kids, things like that, who aren't just singletons who can do what they want, to do something, pay yourself first. So if that means you get up and go walk on a morning, if you go in the garage with a kettlebell, if you go to the gym before the kids are up and you leave your partner in bed, try and do something for your health before anyone else interrupts your day. It could be, like I said, a run around the block. It could be a walk. It could be a cold plunge. It could be anything for your health where you think, I've put a tick in the box on my day before anyone else, before I read an email, before I check my messages, before I see what bad news has come my way. Do something for yourself first.
Yeah, it's just making that one thing. I did used to train, like, I loved it when you first opened at R5. And
Yeah.
then it would just, again, it just falling out of routine for whatever reason. But it used to just set me up for the day, keep me on track with everything.
Yeah.
I know I need to get back into that. I can like see the wagon and I just need to like stretch a bit further and get back onto it, if you know what I mean.
Well,
it's just having that non-negotiable where I do put myself first, and it's not selfish. I know it's not. It's just doing it.
things as well like this as well. Have your trainers at the side of your bed with your kit, literally. So the minute your feet hit the floor, you can see your trainers and your training kit. Now, if that means, like I said, going a walk around the block, if it means hitting the gym, doing a body weight workout at home, 15 minutes quickly, cold shower, you think, yes, I'm at it. I've done something for myself that's positive, and that helps your mindset for the whole day ahead. On a morning, I mean, I don't train first thing, but I always walk, and I've got an ice bath outside. So I always walk and I have my ice bath, and then I check emails, WhatsApps, see what machines are broken at the gym, see what drama's going on that day. It's just because if I wake up and I check emails first, straight away you can put yourself in a bad mood.
Yeah, 100%.
So I always say do something. And it can be as small as a cold shower, something good for you first thing before you check anything. Like I said, a walk around the block, it could be anything, but do something. If it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, pay yourself first. The whole thing, you can't feed, you can't pour from an empty vessel.
Yeah.
You are the vessel. You've got to fill yourself up first. Because if you feel shit about yourself, that's going to come off again in your interactions with your kids, co-workers, your partner, everything. Whereas if you think, right, I've got up, yes, I haven't hit snooze, yes, I've done something positive, you're more likely to be a better human that day because of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So that's yours. You realize what it is, and now it's a case of planning, making sure that, you put a yellow Post-it, I'm a big fan of yellow Post-it notes. So, when I know I've got something coming up and I've got a target weight to hit, I will on the back of a cupboard door, I'll put close the cupboard, chubby, and I'll put a comment like that there, and it just reminds me. And I've put far worse than that, trust me. But it's just things that like you put your training gear side of the bed, put a Post-it note and put something that's going to rile you up, and just think, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
If you get up and you go straight to your bathroom and you put cold water on your face, what can you have facing you when you do it?
Yeah.
It's environment. If you can control your environment, habits become a lot easier. So you want cues in your car, on your laptop, almost wherever you work. You want things that remind you of what you need to do. And again, things that will stop you being triggered to do things you don't want to do. And that can be something funny. It can be a picture. It can be a picture of somebody who you don't want to look like. It can be a picture of somebody you do want to look like. Towards, away from motivation. You can work both of them. So you've just always got to stack your environment in your favor. All right. Anyone else? Come on, shout them out.
Mine's sort of similar sort of thing, like working out timings. The only time that I can get to work out is, like you say, in the morning. Mrs. working long hours, being a nurse and childcare. and stuff like that. So as you know yourself, you know me better than I know myself, to be honest. But I'm either on or I'm off. And like we've had this conversation, I'm like a light switch. So then first couple of days that if I do miss, it then becomes more of a couple of days, and it becomes a week, then 2 weeks, and then before I know it, I'm pushed back 6 months. You know, so it's learning that sort of inner demon to get back out and just go. You know what, you have had that couple of days off, just get back on with it.
Two things there, Andrew, in there. We've discussed this before. One is your switch, pardon the pun, from a light switch to a dimmer switch.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be degrees where you can turn it hotter or colder, so you're not fully off or fully on.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's step one. But then step two is you figuring out how, when you have these, well, I've missed Monday, so bollocks, I'll start next Monday. What do you have to write? What reminders do you have to have on your phone, around your house, in your car, that means Monday isn't Tuesday, dickhead? That kind of thing, where you just remind yourself that it's Tuesday now, Monday's gone. You know, I start today. Just because I didn't do the work on Monday, I can do it today.
Yeah.
Still there, pal?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's two things for you there, isn't there? It's the migration to being a dimmer switch, and making sure that if you do go off track, you get back on the track faster than you have been doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least you know, pal, and it's just now setting up your environment and your habits around that. Who's next? Who's next?
Me.
Go on then.
Mine is work stress. So if everything's going fine and I'm sailing along and I'll hit the gym and I'll do what I've got to do, if I've had a particularly stressful day or somebody's been shitty to me, it can really throw me, and it throws everything, and it makes me tired, and it makes me unmotivated, and that's what throws me off.
Well, perfectly natural, because obviously we're humans, we respond to external stimuli, whether that's stressful, it's people, you know, we all naturally respond to things. But I think one thing you might want to consider is that, you know, we always have a choice how we respond. So if somebody's shitty with you, puts you under loads of stress, tight deadlines, whatever life throws at you, you have got a choice. So if you get home and you are mad, sad, angry, stressed, all those options, one of the weeks we're going to come on to this, but it's about the quality of the questions you ask yourself. So example is, you've had a shitty day, you come home, the question you can ask yourself is, why do I bother? Why does this always happen to me? And that kind of response. Or you can say, what can I do right now that's going to keep me on track and make me feel better and help me forget my day? Now, that could be going a run. It could be going and sitting in the sauna. It could be going and doing a Zumba class. It could be anything. But what could I do to make me feel better that doesn't take me off track?
Mm-hmm.
So straight away, if you ask that question, your brain has to look for an answer to that question. So if you ask a better quality of question, you tend to get a better answer.
Okay.
So it's always in the moment, deep breath, and think about the type of internal question you're asking yourself. Whereas if it's like, oh, why are they such a dickhead? Why does this always happen? Oh, why? If you ask those kind of questions, you'll get a pretty crap answer, which will be something like, all the reasons they are a dickhead, all the reasons you are stressed, but none of that helps you in the moment. If you think about it and you ask a different kind of question, a pattern interrupt, and you ask the question totally unrelated, you go off that track of negative thinking and off that track that you're going on, which is, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I want sugary foods, I might want a glass of wine, I might want, because if you stay on that path, there is consequences which usually aren't ones that support the journey you want to go on. So it's about how quick can I sort of interrupt, scratch the record, and ask a different question which shifts my mind to think about something totally different, which could be, what am I eating tomorrow? What can I do now? Try and distract yourself from the path you are on and think about it. What am I training tonight? Can I beat my squat PB tonight?
You're right. It is, and once I do change that mindset and that thinking, I can switch it about. Then it's just that's not in me ear at time until I've, it's just until that kicks in. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, what again, something to think about is how can you set up your environment to be supportive to changing that mindset, that pattern? Because often if you say to people, oh, I consult with one-to-one, when they say to me, well, I repeat this behavior or repeat this pattern, I'll say, all right, talk me through it. And usually it comes on in the car or when I'm in the kitchen, or there's usually environmental triggers to these things. So people say to me, oh, I just wish I could stop drinking a 4-pack of Stella when I get home from work when I've had a bad day. I'll go, okay, where do you drink the Stella? Well, I sit in sit in my chair or this chair. I'm like, okay, sit in a different fucking chair then. Because sometimes we have what's called associated behaviors and linkages. So when I do this, so like people say, I open a bottle of wine when I start cooking. Because they associate that, oh, I'm cooking, I'll open the wine. Because we work by association. One thing is usually triggered to another, to another, to another. So when you've got these work stresses or you have a bad day, you've got to think, how can I not follow the same pattern? I've even had clients drive home a different way from work. Because what they said is, I drive home, because I even go back and I say, okay, so you're drinking when you get home? And they'll go, yes. And I'll say, okay, where do you buy it? And they'll go, well, I go to this shop and I go drive home a different way from work. You've got to interrupt the pattern of your behavior if you want to change your behavior. So whatever you can do to change that associated behavior, whether it's you do something, you change something, you drive home a different way from work, you change the record metaphorically. People say, oh, listen to the radio on the way home from work. I'm like that. What's your favorite playlist on Spotify? What puts you in a good mood? Put that on in the car. Any little things you can do that stack the odds again in your favor, you need to do. Make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
No dramas. Anyone else?
I'll go. So mine is like my energy levels and how tired I feel. So it doesn't matter how many hours of sleep I get. I can't get up in the morning, I'm still tired.
Okay.
I snooze and snooze. Another minute.
What's your quality of sleep like? Pretty good?
Maybe not great. And that I was going to ask about supplements actually tonight, but you've already mentioned it. I'm like, do those supplements, do they help you fall asleep or do they help with the quality of your sleep?
There's two things. There's how fast you fall asleep and quality of sleep. Both are important, but if you can improve one of them, it's still an improvement. So I find that for people who sleep badly, there's other things like turning off blue lights and screens and reading before bed for a little bit sometimes helps. But in terms of your energy levels, I mean, have you had any good blood tests done in the last year or two?
No, probably not. Could do with maybe going.
Because most people like have an MOT on the car every year and get that checked over, but they don't get the self checked over.
Yeah.
So there's a few very good blood testing companies out there where you can get a very comprehensive blood panel done, where they'll tell you every single thing, your vitamin D levels, your magnesium levels, every factor in your blood. If you're deficient in things, they'll tell you cholesterol scores, even though that's a bit of a contentious subject. And they'll give you your hormone levels as well, because you can have hormone issues that you don't even know about. You can have vitamin D as a common thing, deficiencies. And vitamin D is easy and quick to fix as long as you have it with vitamin K2. There's vitamin B can be low. There's lots of things that can affect your energy levels. So what I would say is look at improving your sleep. Make sure you've got a good diet first and foremost. But I do recommend, like, annually having a very, very good blood panel done, because it can tell you the blind spots you can't see. You know, you don't want to be driving down a motorway with a tyre that's going to blow out. But a lot of people, when it comes to their health, are doing that, but they just don't know.
Yeah. So I
So,
feel like I eat pretty well. I don't have any problems falling asleep.
yeah.
I could still get 9-10 hours sleep and I still don't want to get up.
Right. Some people as well, bear in mind, some people can function on 5 to 6 hours and still be productive. Some people, like my missus is just like you. She can sleep 9-10 hours every night. And if I didn't kick her out of bed, she'd probably longer. So some people do need more sleep. But what I would say to you is try and be very tough with yourself about a get up time every day.
Yeah, that's
Because
one of my goals this week because
breaking the back of that genuinely is one of the best things for your sleep. So no matter how bad or how tired you feel, set yourself a get up time, whatever that works for you. Like I said, you don't have to get up at 4 or 5 or 5:30 or 6, whatever time it is. If it might be 7 o'clock, it might be 6:30, but get up, get bright light in your eyes the first few minutes. So that's one key thing. Get some water in straight away and move. If you're trying to reset your sleep pattern, the three biggest things of this is get bright light in your eyes as soon as you can. Hydrate, 2, and 3, do some activity. And that can be as simple as bash out 20 air squats in your kitchen, because that is training your body then to be awake at that time. Bright light, activity, and hydration. And if you do that statistically for longer than 3 days, you can crack it. You genuinely can.
Yeah, I'll give it a whirl.
But even if you feel like that night, because you got up a bit earlier that day, oh, I'm ready to go to bed earlier, just go to bed earlier.
Yeah.
And stick with it, because it might be you reset your whole sleep wake cycle and you might then have more energy moving forwards. But for a few days, it can feel a bit like you're flagging.
Yeah.
But stick with it. So pick a time, get your Alexa on, get your phone on, anything you can. So there's 2 or 3 alarms. You've got to get out of bed. Set one in the next room. You've got to get up, turn it off.
Yeah, I did that last night and it definitely worked this morning.
Good. And stay with it, because honestly, it's, as somebody like me who's researched sleep inside out and back to front, that one thing is the biggest difference, and it costs nothing. Just a bit of discipline over that first week to go, Miles, you lazy sod, get up. Because if I didn't do that, I could get up some days at 7:30, some days at 8, some days my sleep was all over. And that meant every night I went to bed at a different time as well. And I was felt shocking. And I had to just have a word with myself and go, right, this is your get up time, and you get up no matter what at that time. And that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else before we move on? Let's go. Next one. Next question. Think about what you've just said and think about what you've written down. And I want you to think about this now and write down. If you truly released that proverbial handbrake and conquered it, how would your life look in 12 months' time? So put yourself forwards in time, 12 months. what would your life be? Would you be wearing different clothes? Would you be doing different types of exercise? Would you be getting a promotion at work because you were that unstoppably confident you'd be absolutely knocking life out the park? Would you be getting more done in a day? What? Think about it and write it down. Because this bit, I'm not going to ask you to say it. It's for you to think about. So I want you to just take a minute or two now and just write down, if you conquered that one thing, what difference would it make and how different would your life be in 12 months? I'm not going to ask you to read them out. This is for you. Has everybody wrote something down? Yeah, we all got something?
Yeah.
Good. Because that thing there, you want to think on that and let that settle in deep in your mind. And you might, again, want to stick that around your workspace. You might want to put it somewhere. If I stop sleeping in, if I stop stopping, if I stop getting stressed and making shitty decisions, if I stop the beer, in 12 months, I will be XYZ. And get and use that and think, well, hang on a minute, every time I'm thinking about making a bad choice, my life could look totally different with a compound effect over 12 months. Yeah. Next question underneath that, I want you to write down what would stop you doing it. So you realize what's holding you back. You know how different your life could be in 12 months. The next question you've got to ask yourself is this one. What's going to stop you? Bearing in mind, you're the one driving your own bus, your own plane, your own car. You're doing it. So what will stop you from achieving that? So you know what your handbrake is. You know how different your life could be if you actually released the handbrake and went full tilt. And then you've got to ask yourself, what excuse am I telling myself? What bullshit story am I saying? I'm giving my power to somebody else or something else, when realistically I'm in charge of my life and it's up to me. So you've got to then be honest. The only thing, and there should only be one answer here, the only one answer I will let you write down is, it's you. You want to write down, it's me. No one else. It's me letting myself sleep in. It's me drinking the beer. It's me letting people control my emotions. It's me choosing what I eat. It's me choosing if I train or not. It's me. And when you look in the mirror every day, realize it's you. Okay. On that bullet between the eyes, moving on. Beliefs control everything. Or everything, not everything, everything. I couldn't spell when I wrote this slide. If we believe we can or we can't, we always prove ourselves right. Because you want to be congruent with your beliefs. So your actions will live up to your beliefs about yourself. If you've got a glass ceiling of what you can or can't do, you will always prove yourself right long term, because you don't want to be incongruent with yourself. Because when you say things, think about the elephant story. You know, when you have the baby elephant and they train them and they chain them to a little wood post in the ground when they're a baby, they can't pull the little stick out the ground. But over time, when the elephant grows, they still chain them to the little wood stick. And bearing in mind, the elephant could obviously rip the stick and the whole tent with it. But it's been conditioned to have a glass ceiling that it can't move it. And that's how they train elephants. Now, we live our life a lot like that because we have this belief, which is that chain, and we could probably pull that proverbial wood stick out the ground and go, but we are conditioned by our beliefs of what we can and what we can't do until we choose to believe something different. And we choose to believe we could do it. We could enter that event. We could run that race. We could achieve that weight loss. We could squat 100 kilo. We could do these things that we currently think we can't. All right. Next one, write out 5 things you say and think about yourself. Can be things like, oh, I always quit. I always gain weight. I don't stick at things. People in my family don't lose weight easily. I've always been a shit runner. I always join the gym and stop-start. I just can't get out of bed. And all these things that we say to ourselves are just beliefs that we've said enough, or people have said enough to us that we've chosen to believe. And we've then got these glass ceilings around our life, our health, our weight, our fitness, our income, our relationships. We all have them. So you will, if you, again, have things you say to yourself, oh, why do I always do this? Why do I always pick the wrong men? Why do I always pick the wrong women? Why do I always choose jobs that don't pay me what I'm worth? You know, so think about it now. And write, I'm not going to ask you to shout these out. So you can write them down. They could be deeply personal to you. And you can write them down after this call if there's other things. Because you need to be aware of the beliefs you have that hold you back. I just can't stick to a diet. I always eat sweet things. I can't stop eating crisps. These are all beliefs. And the thing is, while you still believe them, you act upon them. And the first step of changing your belief is realizing what your beliefs are. Because sometimes we go through life in a bit of an unconscious, drifting way where we don't question these things and we just keep going and repeating the same patterns, doing the same things, you know. So the first step is awareness, realizing what we say to ourselves and what we believe. Next thing, next exercise. What would you say if you couldn't fail? Would it be, oh, I'm doing London Marathon next year. I'm entering a high rocks competition. I'm going to run 10K every morning before breakfast. If you didn't have these beliefs and box yourself in, what would you say? Yeah, I'm somebody who exercises. I'm in great shape. That's who I am. That's my identity. It's who I am. Of course I train. That's who I am. How would you talk to yourself? What would your self-talk be if you left behind old beliefs? Yeah, I go hike every Sunday. I go out running. I run with my pals on a Saturday. At the moment, you might have no friends that run, but could you meet friends who do run? Could you meet friends at the gym who you train with, who call you out when you don't turn up and call you out on your bullshit? And they will ring you and say, where were you tonight? This morning, this weekend? You know, surrounding yourself with people with beliefs that are aligned with yours is always crucial. You know, you will always be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're around successful, fit, healthy people, you will be number 6. So leveling up your peer group, making friends with people who train, making friends with people who go out running, who go out walking, joining a walking group, all these things, get in the right room, be around people who want to level up and be better. If you can do that and consistently go and level up and pay sometimes to shortcut and fast track to success, because that's what mentoring does. It leaves clues. People who've been there, done it, and help people get there and do it. It can sometimes save you years of frustration. And that's what I do. I find the best in the world at what I want to learn, and I pay them what they charge. And if it's 400 quid an hour, that's what it costs me, because it might save me 2 years of work. So sometimes being cheap is very expensive. And I've always learned that. Because one thing you can never get more of is time. You can always get more money, but sometimes doing that sometimes can shortcut and fast track you massively. When I wanted to be a great strength coach, I learned under somebody called Charles Poliquin, who was the world's greatest strength coach. And I learned methods that helped me work with Great Britain athletes and people like that, because whenever he came to the UK, I would go and see him no matter what it cost and no matter what I had to do, because I would be years ahead of my peers because I was learning from the best. And rather than being a cheapskate and not paying to be in the room, I always did it. So if there's always a room I can be in that people know more than me, I'll always try and get in that room. Because what I've found is when you're around positive, successful people, your beliefs change about what is possible. So when you have these beliefs that hold you back and you're trying to come up with new beliefs, you need to really, really think about this carefully. If you go to the gym, start talking to people, make friends. Oh, when are you training next? Can I jump in with you? You guys in this group, arrange to meet up and get sessions in. Push each other. The power of accountability in your peers is very important. And if you start wavering, you want somebody who's going to call you out and say, where were you? And again, your beliefs, your expectations, they all start raising. You know, when the tides rise, all ships rise together. And you want to be on that rising tide with everyone else. So try and meet people in the gym. All right. So that's where we're going to leave tonight. Beliefs. Think about these after the call. What beliefs are holding me back, and what beliefs do I need to have to move me forwards? All right. Let's chat in the group this week on Facebook. Have a good week. Any problems, any questions, reach out. Other people in the group will help you. I'll help you. Don't struggle. All right. Have a great week, guys. See you later.
Okay,
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.